Timmy Joe reviews anything.
Reviewing computer parts on YouTube.
That's
Woo! Gotta be pumped on that, right, Will? Computer parts! Woo!
Oh yeah.
What is up, my friends? Hi there, it's Timmy Joe, making videos about computers on the internet. This thing is a beast. They're always a beast, aren't they? This is a computer I remember my buddy building back in 2007. Okay, and this was a state-of-the-art system. He had just got a really good job. He's going to build himself a really good computer. Here it is in the ultra full tower case, and he used this for a number of years before it eventually just started overheating. I used it as a file server, I think, for the last like maybe 5 years of its life. But you know, 10 years ago, this would have been a very high-end system. It has a Core 2 dual core in it. It's 2.13 gigahertz. I don't exactly know what it is because I haven't delved too far into it yet. But I know that in my attempts to get it working, it just overheats and shuts itself off within about 5 minutes of doing anything with it from a cold start. I assume the thermal paste on it is cement, and it is so dusty inside. It is absolutely disgusting. It is disgusting. It has never been cleaned, you can tell, and it has had a harsh life. But other specs include one remaining stick of DDR2. This is really good stuff, actually. SLI branded Nvidia stuff. I don't know. OCZ actually makes this stuff. And I don't know where the other one went because I assume it would at least have had 2 sticks. Let's get this out of here. A Geforce, EVGA Geforce 7600 with 256 megabytes of DDR RAM? Sure. 7600 GT. There's no hard drives in it because he took them all with him once the thing started not functioning properly. And it has a really cool SLI motherboard, an Asus, let's see here, P5N-E SLI. So one of the early SLI boards. It had one of these little cards in it. Let's see if I can get it out. That you switched around if you wanted to put it into SLI mode. Super weird, eh? So we'll put that in back into single video card mode. I don't know what the hell's going on there. It'd be cool to actually get 2 video cards working in it just for fun. But I want to, there's even there's only 4 SATA ports on it, and he had more than 4 hard drives in it at one point. So he actually put in a little PCIe riser card that allows 2 more SATA ports on it. It stinks. It has a modular power supply in it. It smells like Neg Champa, if you know what that is. It smells like incense. But this case is so cool. Full acrylic side panel. You know, it's got this little thing that opens up. You know, oh, we didn't want to turn it on. That was stupid. Yeah, I get it. It has no graphics card in it. And full acrylic side panel. So I want to revitalize this and get it, you know, do some benchmarks and check out what an 11-year-old high-end gaming PC, maybe put, you know, a few sticks of memory in it, get the GPU working, we'll get the heatsink off of it, figure out why it's overheating. And then, I mean, this is the coolest case ever. I really want to get it cleaned up, and it's a sign of the times. Like, this looks like a modern case almost, you know, assuming this was tempered glass instead of acrylic. So I just think this is going to be super fun. So stick around. We're going to go ahead and get this thing undone, buttoned up, get Windows installed on it, see what kind of benchmarks an 11-year-old computer can gather. Holy jeez. Let's just get this off while we're talking, and then we'll see what we're up against. Ho ho ho! What is going on? What is that? It's like, it's almost like this was replaced with something. I mean, I thought this would be hard, but it's got some sort of goo on it. Maybe that's, what is with that? It's got a 600 watt modular ultra power supply. I mean, modular 11 years ago, high-end stuff. Socket 775, of course. Seems like we've got an Intel Core 2 Duo 6400. Okay, that makes a hell of a lot more sense. But this is going to be a fun little system to mess around with, and this motherboard being a high-end overclocking motherboard from the time, obviously my buddy did not take advantage of any of that because, you know, stock Intel heatsink with what I only can suppose is jism used as thermal grease. But we'll figure it out. We'll get her going. We'll get her going up. I'm Timmy Joe. This has been Old PC Monthly. Whew.
Alrighty, did you see how dirty that thing was? The dust flying out of it. It was by far the dirtiest computer I've ever blown out, unless, you know, the computer had been in some sort of industrial accident or fell in a pool of water. This one takes the cake, but it looks beautiful now. The Ultra Luminous is what I've now remembered is what it's called. Awesome. You know, 11-year-old PC. Now ready to do some more work, still functioning even though it had a buttload of dust in it. So what does this little box have to do with that PC? Well, this thing here is a like 2013, 2014 Zotac Z-Box, has a Celeron quad core in it, or maybe it's a dual core with hyper-threading. I don't remember. But I remember this thing has a graphic or an iGPU that will do DirectX 10, so you could play games on this thing with a better API than this. The graphics card in here only has support for DirectX 9, which severely limited any benchmarking or whatever I was trying to do with it. This also does about 100 in Cinebench, and as you see, this is running terribly. But let's go ahead and we'll get her closed up. Boom, quit. Running at all of 12 FPS, 1024 by 768. The worst coil whine I've ever heard. There, it stopped. From an older graphics card of such small magnitude. Anyways, there we go. She's up here. So what's her Cinebench score? 109. And that's with a 10% overclock, because that's all I could get with working. Like the automatic overclocking settings on the Asus motherboard. That's the only overclock that would really work. I brought it from 2.13 gigahertz to like 2.35 gigahertz. There we go. Increased it 10% effective, because the most I could get out of this was about 99 Cinebench score. This will do 105 last time I ran it. Very slow little computer. But it's beating out a giant, what would be like $1,000 computer-ish these days. We'll check that out in a second. So, yeah, my buddy gave me this computer. I think he just had written it off. And now that it's all cleaned up and looking just freaking amazing with some blue LEDs in there, got all the cable management taken care of. I really like this case, actually. I might give it back to him. I don't know. I might even keep it and then give him another computer. I'm not sure. I really like this case. I've never seen them these days with this panel like still attached to, which is really nice. And the internal, like, it's all aluminum inside. It's really, really nice. So let's just check this out. If we account for inflation, he said he paid about $800 for this computer, said and done. He even checked his Tiger Direct. There we go. And he showed me, this is the original link for this case. It has a 600 watt though, and this is 550. But he said this case combo was about $100, and all of a sudden done about 800. So account for inflation, it's about $1,000 PC, which ends up being a pretty mid-range PC these days. I'd equate this, like if you look at the 7600 in this, it was definitely nowhere near the best GPU you could buy from Nvidia at the time. And if you look at the Core 2 6400, this is a very mid-range, like i5 with like a maybe a 1060 or a 1050 Ti in it. 11 years later, those same, that same line of specs does not hold up very well, because I was going to run a gambit of like, gaming benchmarks, and this is Half-Life 2 running on it. That's about the best I could do with that GPU. Now I thought maybe about switching the GPU out and running the benchmarks just on the CPU, but I think that's for a later date. The point of this video more for me was to bring this thing back to a working state, see if it was possible of 11 years of neglect. You could bring the computer back, and it's running super stable now, looking beautiful, not bad at all. So, like I was saying, it's E6400 in it, dual core, 2.13 gigahertz, locked multiplier on it, so I'm not doing any, decent overclocking on it. That's why I left the stock Intel heatsink on it, and it has the 7600, which 256 megs of VRAM at this point is just not even worth it. And then I got to the bottom of why it was overheating. He put this on it. This looks like some sort of foot fungus cream. It's Nextech silicone heat sink compound. You could buy at Radio Shack. I don't know if Nextech carries over from Radio Shack in the States, but here we call Radio Shack the Source now, and that's a brand they would carry. And it went from being something that transfers heat to being something more like Jell-O, or something you would put into a sock late at night while watching pornography, and it was not transferring heat at all, because this was like pretty much hitting TJ Maxx within 5 minutes of being on. Now with some proper heatsink grease and a cleanup, it's running at a cool like 36 degrees all the time. Under load it might get up to 50. So that would be my little experience with the Core 2 Duo inside the ultra luminous case, which I really like and was a sign of the times, ahead of its time. 11 years ago with a full acrylic side panel showing off all the guts of the computer. In a time where cable management wasn't really, was an afterthought. This actually has some of that a little bit. I really like the Ultra logo. I like all the aluminum insides. I thought maybe you guys want to come along with me while I get this little PC, strung up. But as far as benchmarks go, that's all I'm going to do, because it's pretty much not a usable, PC for gaming at this point. You could find a much better computer for $50 all said and done with an iGPU that'll probably outperform this. But if you did want to put something like a 750 Ti in here, maybe it would play some games. That's worth another look in another video. If you want to see some other stuff with this, let me know in the comments. But I'm out watching me do Instagram and Twitter. This has been a look back at my buddy's 11-year-old dust-riddled gaming PC, or work PC, we'll say, because he's like a computer programmer, and he built this to have a powerful system at his house, and it served him well for many years. I remember he always had this kicking around, serving files, and now we've given it new life, and we're going to give it back to him in working order, looking just wonderful in my opinion. So I'll see you guys in another video. Little preview. Another buddy of mine really came through with what will no doubt be a very fun video. This is a Titan Black. And that's all I gotta say. See you guys in another video. Have fun.